Hey everyone, welcome to another video. And in this video, I'm going to be explaining how to create mega drop downs. So we are all conversant with the regular drop downs that just have like links and yeah. But you'll notice nowadays when you scroll through like big sites like Stripe, you notice this kind of mega drop downs that's able to accommodate more information, more links, and like it actually makes a lot of sense. And I was recently working on a project and I needed to create a mega navigation, and I was able to create it my own way. And I thought definitely, in programming there are different ways to do certain different things, and even different ways to do the same thing. So I created it and I was like, oh, this actually looks chill. And I'm like, let me create a video. So in case you don't know what mega drop downs are, like I just showed you what mega drop downs are, but like they are large expandable menus that appear when a user hovers over or clicks in navigation. So in some situations, it's when you click. I think that one is easier to implement. Yeah, but both are actually easier to. It's just the event that matters. So for over, you just use the on mouse enter or leave. Yeah, we're going to see all of that. So basically I spinned up a very simple Next.js project. So this tutorial is going to apply to anybody that is working with React, Next.js, and even the logic would apply to any other program, to any other stack. Yeah, so just very simple. So creating a drop down for the destinations, for the trip planner. So you see there are different drop down. Then for this there is nothing, so you just attach your links. But yeah, when you come into this, the drop downs appear and you can actually click on any link and boom, it also goes and you're able to like go and you can go back to the page. So this is what we're going to be implementing this tutorial, and you'll notice some changes are actually happening. For example, the nav bar is sort of like a transparent white currently, but when you like go to one of those drop downs, the entire nav bar changes to black, and all of this is being controlled by state, and we're going to see how every all of that work, and the ability to yeah, change the drop downs. And oh yeah, we're going to see all of that in this tutorial. So basically I spinned up another project, yeah, and you notice this is the project we're going to be working on in this tutorial. So basically the same thing but no functionality. The drop down does not exist yet. So this is the code. Yeah, this is a code, just a very simple Next.js project where I have a component for the nav bar. If you look at the layout file, we just importing the nav bar and yeah, the children element, yeah. And in the page, we just have the plan your perfect adventure. And the navbar is the major, is what we're going to be working on. And what we have here is just okay, absolute, in the sense that we are just putting it here. And yeah, let me delete this for now. And basically what's happening here is there's a flex justified between, so there is a logo, there are the links and a button. So I think this is better. So the button is this, the links are here. So when you expand here, we have the list. We have the first one for destination, and it's just the p tag that has an icon. So we're making use of Lucid React. It's an icon library. I love the library so much, so you can check it out. That's like box of icons. So you just search your icon and you use it. So it's very cool. Yep. So that is what I am using in this project. Yeah, so I imported the chevron down from, and yeah, I added it here, here, and these are just the last two that does not have like the drop down. So just put the deals and fact. So I'm just making sure you understand the code properly. And this is the logo, so just navify. Yep, and that is there. Then we have a button here, and that is here. So that's all we have in the nav bar component, and like I said, it's been imported into the layout file. And we have some images here which we're going to be using, like you saw in the finished project. Yeah, all of these images. So yeah, basically for some of them I added them to the Tailwind file here, and this pattern is like what you see here in this pattern here. Yep, so I'm just adding it um to the page.tsx file, so bg hero pattern, and that's that. There is nothing much here. So let's go to the navbar file, and this is where we're going to be implementing the drop down. Now you think of, or you try to imagine how we are going to implement this drop down. So basically I'm just going to give you a rough picture of what's going to happen. So basically what's going to happen is we are going to make the navbar component, not the real navbar, because this has like an absolute here, because we are trying to like make it just hang around the page, not like stick to the top here. So this has an absolute, so that is why we created this extra div here. So in this div we're going to give it like relative, and then within we're just going to create like a div and make it like take up the full width and make it display, and then we're going to use conditions to determine when it shows up, something like that. So that is basically what we're going to be doing, and I'm going to be writing the code in a way that it is maintainable. Yeah, so let's get started. So first thing first, I'm trying to imagine how the best way to go about this. Well, okay, so we're going to create a drop down for destination, and we're going to create drop down for trip planner. So basically we can just come here, we can just come to the destination here. Let me just put the code here and say drop down menu, and here I'm just gonna put a div. I'm just trying to make you understand what the entire concept. So I'm going to put a div here, and let me just say p tag of hello, and I'm going to give this a bg of black. I'm going to give this a bg of black, and I'm also, the major thing here is I'm going to make this absolute. I'm going to make this absolute, and the container housing the entire div, I'm going to make it I'm going to add like a position relative, and this absolute I'm going to give it width, a full width, and okay, I made it background of black, so let me just make the text white. Let me make the text white. Yeah, so if we do this and we come back here, we're going to see this, and you will notice that it is actually this exact width, but like it is not like taking up the, yeah. So for us to make everything work, so since we applied absolute, we need to like, let's just say the top, we want it to start from like 18, and yeah, left of 0. Now with this is going to, so you notice that we have been able to like, we're able to like start like creating the drop down. Yeah, we're able to start creating the drop down. So now all that is left is based on styling, right? All that is left is based on styling. So what I'm going to do is in order for us not to waste time, okay, I'm just going to like work on that. So basically I'm going to put some styles here. Basically we have the drop down. So what's happening here is the same absolute, the top, the left, giving it full width, giving it a background of black, text of white, adding a shadow, and then this rounded, so that like only the bottom left and the bottom right is rounded, and then we're adding padding of 10, and that's how we'll come about that. So I'm going to create like a grid. a grid of images with so yeah, I'm going to create a grid of images. So there's an error because I have not imported. I'm using the image from Next.js. And let me explain this code very well. So we have a div and we're creating three columns, giving it a gap of 10 and margin top of 4, so it's not like touching the top of the. And basically we have three divs. Now these divs, we have an image using the images here. So Asia, yeah, so we have the Asia image, we defined its width and height and all, and then we added a paragraph and then a link to learn more. So this arrow right, I'm gonna import it from Lucid React, and that's gonna fix that. So we have that for Asia, that of Europe, and that of Africa. And if I save, we are going to see this. Now everything is coming together. We're not yet there, we're far from where we're going to. But yeah, you can see that it is just you creating your markup. So we're going to get into the functionality, but I just want all of this to be fixed. And if you check the original project, now for destination, we also have this last line. So I'm going to add that. So after the grid, we have a line. Then another div. Yep, so we have the line here, and then we have a div that we're just flexing and like making sure things. So we're putting a paragraph and a link, and that is just all about that. Yeah, that is all about this one. That is all about this one. Now, remember we are creating two drop downs, so we need to be able to know which one to show at a particular time. So for us to control this, now this drop down is here and we added it just in the list item for destination. Now we're also going to have another drop down for the trip planner, and we're also still going to add it here. Sorry, I think it was doing it for me. Yep, we're still going to add it here, and it's just normal styling. So I'm going to comment out this code. I'm going to comment that code so that nothing shows, and I'm going to just paste the code for the trip planner so that we can get into the actual detail here. So yep, I'm going to paste the code. So basically, just same thing, absolute, top, left, and all, then creating a grid. This time around, we're not attaching the images, we're attaching the images as background. So if you come to Tailwind file, we created three images. We have that of honeymoon, weekend, and family, as we created like them background images, and then we're adding them to it. So we have the PG honeymoon, and we're just styling it relative so that we can place the text below. Same thing here, BG weekend, BG family. And then when you come here, so it is showing this. Yep, it is showing this because yeah, but you get the overflow, and that is the drop down. Now we need to be able to control when they actually show, and this is where using we need to make use of use state, because if I uncomment this now, there's going to be like a whole clash, because the destination is showing below because it comes first, then the trip planner is showing above it, and this is not what we want, right? So for us to have a cleaner code, I'm going to take away the all this drop downs from here, and just create like components just within the same file. Yeah, so I'm just gonna create let's just say export const destination drop down. Yep, so destination drop down, I'm going to come here and copy this whole code from here and return and put the code in. Yep, the code there and there. Yep, so I moved the code. So this is the old destination drop down, and then here we can just use the component, so it makes our code. So you can take it out of this file. You can maybe create like another file, just one file, and put both components there, then import them here. I think that would be a better use case. So same thing here. I'm just going to create a component for travel planner. I'm just going to say export, same thing, export constant travel planner, and here we can replace it with the components. Then our code is cleaner. Same thing when you go back here, everything just appears. So you can refresh the page, you see we still have the same thing exactly. And now we have to get into the logic, and this is where first let's import use state. So we need to get into the logic. First, let's import use state from React. So we're going to import use state from React, and basically we're going to be creating a state that is able to help us know which drop down to display. And we're also, so we're going to create like an object. So we're going to have an active key and a drop down name key. So the active key is to trigger the drop down to display, and the drop down name is to know which drop down to display. So just instead of creating two different states, I'm just creating one. So let's call it active drop down, and we're going to set it to an object. And so basically we're just gonna say, yeah, there are different approach to this, but let's just do it this way. Drop down name. Yep, so this is what we are going to use. Now with this we can now go to we can now wrap the each of those drop downs. Now we can now wrap them and say something like we can say something like if active drop down dot active, that means if active is true and the drop down name is destinations, then we want this component to display. We are not going to use this, we're going to use this. Yep, so basically we're saying if it is active, if drop down is active, and we're going to see now, you're going to see how I'm going to control this active, but we're saying if active is true and the drop down name is destination, then this is the drop down we want. Now same thing here, we're going to do the same here, and we're going to say if active drop down dot active, and active drop down name is this. Now if the name is let's not use destination, let's use planner, sorry. Yeah, if it's planner, let's display. Now you would ask, how are we going to trigger this? Yeah, and this is where the the mouse event comes in. So we're going to add like a on mouse event and enter events on each of the lists. So we have this list for destination, and we have this list for trip planner. Now on this list we can just come here, let's just bring this down, and here we can now say on mouse, I'm very sure you are conversant with this event, so we can now say on mouse enter. Now we want to trigger an action when the mouse enters. So okay, so let me just show you something. So let me log. console.log overt. So I'm adding a on mouse enter to the destination. So basically, if I inspect this page and I go to my console, let me clear all of this and zoom the console. So now the goal is when I over destination, it tells me overt. You understand? So this is what we are going to use to trigger the action. So we go back to our code. Now instead of saying it should log, we're not interested in logging anything. Basically what we want to do is to alter the state. So we want to set the active drop down state, and basically what we want to do is we want to set active to true, right? We want to set active to true, and now we also want to set the drop down name. We want to set the drop down name to destination. Want to set the drop down name to destination. Now why are we setting the drop down name to destination? Because here we say if it is active, that means if active is true, and if the drop down name is destinations, it should trigger this, and this is the goal. We want it to trigger this. And now so when the mouse enters this list item, it is going to set active to true, and it's going to set the drop down name to destinations. And when the drop down name is set to destinations, it's going to display this component, and that is the goal. So now when we can now close the console, and now when we come to destinations, it's going to display this drop down, mega drop down. Now nothing is going to happen when you leave, because we have not yet set what happens when the mouse leaves the whole the page. But you understand the goal. Now let's do the same thing for the planner. Now we can just copy this on mouse enter event here and come to the list for planner, and here we're just going to change this. Now since we set the name to planner here, and that is what we're just going to put here. So once we put that there, so when we come to destination, the drop down for the destination shows. When we go to trip planner, the drop down for trip planner shows. When we go back to destination, that of destination shows. When we go back to trip planner, that of trip planner shows. But now there are other things we need to configure. We want a situation that when we come to deals, both should disappear, and this is where the opposite for the on mouse enter is the on mouse leave. Sorry, we're still going to make use of the on mouse enter. So we want a situation that when the mouse enters the other list items, it should set this to false, and it should make this empty. Now in that case, now when we come to destination, that of destination shows. When we go to planner, that of planner shows. Now when we go to deal, we have sort of like restored it back to its default setting, so nothing would actually show. Now when we have planner and we come to facts, nothing is going to happen because we have not done this. Now when we go back to the list for facts, we can be able to configure that, and you can do that also for the logo too, so that, but it's actually very chill in the sense, okay, when we go to deal, it disappears. When we go to fact, it disappears. So we can also do it for logo. When you over on logo, it disappears, and when we over on contact, it disappears. Now you would ask this question that, okay, when I click on destination and maybe I come and I go outside the mega drop down, I want a situation that when I go outside the entire nav bar, because remember the mega drop down is within the nav bar, it is within the nav bar. I want a situation that when I go outside the nav bar, everything closes up, and this is where the opposite of on mouse enter comes in. So we go to the nav, we go to this div where we added, remember this is relative, so that drop down is like absolute under relative, so it doesn't exceed like the entire like space of this relative. So we go to this relative and we say we create an on mouse leave, so not on mouse enter again, but or mouse leave, and here we are saying, okay, we're setting it to false and we are not assigning any attributes. So it's like we're setting it back to the default mode. And now, so you see the magic here. When we come to destination, that of destination shows. When we go to trip planner, and when we go outside of the nav bar, it disappears. So when we are here and everything is going on, once we go outside, everything disappears. Now you see the build. This is like a very easy way to implement mega navigation. And now you remember in the example I showed you, when you click on mega navigation, the nav bar, the color for the nav bar actually turns black. Yeah, it turns black, and when you're out, it goes back to the normal color. Now we can now start using these state values to manipulate our navbar to do exactly what we want, to do whatever we want, and that's the beauty of this whole thing. For example, if you come down here, we have this background. This is where we are declaring the background color, and we also have the text black here. So we can actually let's make let's edit this in such a situation that we can add conditions. So we can now take the background color and the text, because they work hand in hand, and then we can now declare variables sort of like this, and we can now say if active dropdown dot active, that's if it is true. We want the background to be black and we want the text to be white. Else we want what we had before. Yeah, we want what we had before. Now when you go back, yeah, this is the new project. Now you see the background is now black. The background is now black. When you are out, it is white. When you are in, it is black, and the text is also changing. Yeah, so this is like a very chill style. And another thing you can actually do, which we did not even do in the original project, is the button. When we have the when we are here, the button, we can make it have like a white background, background. So the black is not showing. So when we come here, we have a PG black, text white. So very similar, very, very similar. And I'm just gonna do that briefly before I show you one last thing. So I'm just gonna create this, and then we're gonna say ER BG white. Yeah, so if it is true, the background should be white and the text should be black, else the background should be black. And so now when you come, you see the button. Now there's an issue. The nav bar is actually the drop down is touching it. So this is because we set the drop down to top 18 here. So we can try to maybe bring it down to the 20. Yep, but that doesn't really make sense, because we now see the edges. Sorry, let me show you from here. We now see the edges here. So another thing we can do is to adjust that. We can adjust that here, in the sense that so we have the rounded LG here. So we can do a situation that when it is active, we want only the rounded top right LG. It looks rounded. Oh my god. Rounded top right LG and rounded top left LG. Then we can take this from here and say, okay, when it is now we want just this, you understand? So now when we come to the project, you see everything now works well. So but when you are out, like the rounded now comes. So this is like but you see here, we've not yet done this for the trip planner, so it is still like cutting the button. So we just need to implement that in the trip planner. So basically we can just copy this entire style here. yeah, I think we can just copy the whole, yep, and copy all of these, and I think I'm quite confused. Okay, yeah, we just need to go back here, and okay, we just adjusted top 20 here. So we just need to come here and adjust the top, and that is all. And that is all, yeah. And that is all. So very easy. We have been able to implement the mega drop down. So it's just all about you creating your components, doing your own styling, and then using the mouse events to trigger the whole drop down. And in case you don't want maybe hover to trigger it, you want it that when it is clicked, that's when it triggers it. So it is just very simple. It is just very simple. The event you use is just what changes. So here, instead of making use of on mouse enter to trigger everything here, but instead of using on mouse enter, you use on click. You make use of on click. So I'm making use of it on the destination. So when you over destination, nothing happens. But when you click on it, the nav bar appears. And then you can also do a situation that when you click it again, it disappears. So that is that about that. It is just the event that triggers it. Now the last thing I'm going to talk about in this video is the fact that so when I scaffolded this project, I created another page. So if you're conversant with Next.js, so it does this um, um file routing. So I created a destination folder and a page.tsx file. So that means automatically we have a destination route. So when I go to slash destination, we have a page there. Yeah, we have a page there. So we're going to link that page. So if you come to the nav bar, I think I did that. So in this destination drop down, in the last button, in this explore button, let me remind you where the explore button is. That's this button here. I added the slash destination route. Now let me show you what's going to happen. Now when we click on the explore route, when we click on it, now notice that the route has changed, but the drop down is still displaying. And you want, if you notice that we are now on the destination route, but why was the drop down still displaying? For example, you see I go to the home route, I'm now on the home route, and the drop down is still displaying. So we want a situation that when we click on any of all these links, the drop down should close so that we can see the page we are on. And this is where use effect is going to come into play. Now I'm going to close this. Now let's import use effect. Now not just only use effect, now we also need to know the route we are in. So we need to get the route path, and then we are going to trigger the use effect hook based on the path. So whenever the path changes, we want to reset the active drop down state. Now if you are using normal React, so you will use the use location use location is a is a React router function. You make use of the use location and you're able to know the exact path you are in. Now if you are making use of Next.js, use the use path name. This use path name is also what you use to know the active route. Yeah, so we'll make use of the use path name. So I'm going to import that from Next navigation. So import use path name from Next navigation. We have, so basically let us initialize this. So let's say the current route. Yeah, we're trying to get the current route from if I log this, sorry, if I, oh my god, console.log this. Now when I inspect this page and I change route, sorry, Let me clear this. Now, when I go to the destination, it tells me the path I am on. And when I go back to the home page, it tells me the path I am on. Now I'm going to delete the log. I'm going to delete the log. And now I'm going to create the use effect. Yeah, so basically, this is exactly what we need to do. We need to set it back to false and this whenever the route changes, whenever the route path changes, and that is what we need to do. So basically, when I go to the destination route, that means the path has changed and it's going to close the drop down. When I am here and I click on the home page, it's going to close the drop down. And that is basically what I was going to explain in this video. It's a very nice thing to implement in your websites when you have like a lot of things to add in drop down. It's really chill. Or when you are building a very large website that has a lot of links and you want it to be captured and grouped in the nav bar. For example, you have like a land page, and then you have the documentation, you have the blog, you have knowledge base, you have, so you want to group all of this just in one tab, and you want them to be informative as possible. You don't just want a drop down that does not give detailed information of what users expect when they click on it. Now this is, and now there is a lot of things you can do in the drop down. For example, the drop down could have more drop downs. The drop downs can, now you see they can have images, they can have carousels. So it depends on what you want, and it's very easy to implement, and that's what we've explained in this video. I hope you learned something in this video. If this video makes sense, so feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll be creating more nice videos like this from time to time. And yeah, have fun coding. Bye.